Hello. Alright, so I've already been getting a little started with some more pencil details. I think the shelf is fixed enough where I can put stuff on the shelf. This is a continuation of our penguin sea witch poison prompts from day 3. Using the 3 different prompts. It's not so much like the reason we're on day 3 when it's actually day 6 in this month is not because of tying the 3 prompts together. It's because I've gone a little overboard with the backgrounds, as you can see. So it's not like day 1. Day 1 was fairly quick and simple, which is kind of what I was aiming for this, but I've kind of really gotten into the characters a bit. So yeah, that's apparently a thing. Right now I am doing some small little test swatches off on the edge. I'll move my inks out of the way, move my water cup over here, move this over here. My desk is a little bit clumsy today, but you can see down here I've started doing some tests for the muted ink collection from Liquitex. So this is the muted green, which if you didn't know that this paper was blue, after you see the muted green, you could just as easily tone everything green and it would look great. This is the muted turquoise, and this is the muted gray. I'm just mixing up the muted violet because the pigment settled. I mixed all of these before the stream started, except for this one. I didn't think I was going to go towards this one, but I'm really curious to see what the tone looks like over this paper. So on the left is a solid bit, like no water added other than just tie it to the brush itself for like just general flow. I don't like working with a dry brush when I'm putting acrylic ink on it. So I normally go ahead and dampen my brush just a little bit. And then, yeah, so to the right is the solid color, and then to the left is a little bit of water added to go ahead and thin it out. This one wound up being like a really heavy drop. I should have blotted it a little bit because it really didn't work for the purposes of these swatches, so I'm going to do that again. This time I'm just going to go with a flat out wet brush and just tap it into the muted green just ever so slightly, just to pick up a little bit of color. So I get a good idea for like a really thin glaze. And this time I am going to lift off the extra, because otherwise we're just going to sit here and wait for this to dry, and it's not going to get us to where we want to be. So I am still in the playlist from yesterday, technically. What I've done is they have a similar song search, so I've decided to go ahead and just tap on that, and instead of opening like a whole new window with like a list, like what I would consider like a sizable list, like that would be my ideal, is clicking on find similar song and here's a whole list of stuff that's similar. But instead it pops open like a little bit of an extra window on the same page, and it's like 5 tracks. I'm like, well, that does not make a playlist. I'm going to have to tool around with this thing. I'm hoping that this is just temporary. I'm really considering the other service, but I kind of like the opening for today. It was very like John Wick. So I'm still kind of feeling that out. And hopefully that the music track is not too loud for you guys, because I don't want that to be distracting from the painting. And at this point, okay, at this point we're into the regular soundtrack. So I told it to keep going with some more similar songs. And we'll come over here on Twitch and say hi. Hello and welcome. Alright, so back over to this muted violet. I'm not trying to be messing around with a bunch of stuff in the background today. kind of want to get into it. I like seeing mixes at mass tone, so I can see how all that goes with the color of the paper itself. And a little blot of water. And basically I'm looking to make sure that I can actually see through it. I'm going to blot the corner of that too. I'm gonna blot a little bit of the mass tone, just so we don't have to wait for that pigment to dry. That might feel like it's going to take forever. And I hope they haven't reformulated the muted gray, because I really like that purple tone that it has right now. That probably could have been glazed a little bit thicker for the mass tone. It's alright, if you don't think it's showing you the right color, don't be afraid to glaze it again. I want to see how dark that gets. I'm just going to do this edge. I don't think I went full force with that. Like maybe my brush still had a little more water than I expected, and that happens sometimes. It's good to have good water control, but you know, life happens. You gotta roll with the punches. That is still a bit on the dark side. I could have thinned that out a little bit more. Now I'm seeing if it's too dry for me to go ahead and lighten that anymore. And I think it is. That's fine. Anyways, I'll go ahead and zoom in. Get a look at my yellowish light. Here, I'm gonna slide the camera forward a little bit, so I can't push this back further. Stuff on my desk, I'm not trying to knock off the back end. But yeah, so that was muted green, muted turquoise, muted gray, and muted violet. Really all of them look pretty good on this paper, though I'll have to say that I don't love the violet quite so much. I love the rest of the shades better. There is also a muted pink. I'm not gonna even test that right now because I'm just not going to use that on this. I don't feel like it's close enough within the colors. Kind of tending towards monochromatic for this, which is why I think the violet was a step too far too. But that's fine. You don't know until you go ahead and test things and see what's working and what isn't. Let's see, I think I have big hair. Yes, I did. Alright, let's get some of these skewings out of the way. Back up a little bit so you guys can see. Da-da-da, there we go. These tracks are just so short. You know, I'm going to look for this specific artist that we were listening to earlier. Apparently that was a bad idea. Right, so unfortunately I couldn't just be happy with what I had, and now that I'm not on that list, so I'm just going to skip ahead to a different song. I'm so sorry if this is a little bit jarring. Why do I have to be so picky about music? But anyways, so I think I want to do a bit of color, and I do also want to see what the muted green looks like with a bit of titanium white. So I have an idea for some kind of like spectral tentacles. And helps if I find my mixing wells. So we'll see how that goes. I still have, for the life of me, just blanked on what to put in that bubble. And it is bothering me so much. Alright, I'm going to do... You know what? I'm going to leave it as just one drop. It's one thing I love about these. There's a dropper inside. It's so handy when dispensing ink and making sure you have nice mixes. I also go ahead and squeeze it a couple times after I've shaken it up, just to make sure that the pigment hasn't settled inside the dropper itself, so I don't have like super concentrated color. I do want it mixed as it should be. I don't want to do a whole drop of white though. Do you know that? And then I accidentally did a whole drop of white. Never mind. Silliness. Alright, so we'll go ahead and... really wanted to get not a whole mix, just so I had a better idea of some of the range that this could go. I'm just going to put this over here on the edge. Muted pastel green, which is not what I was thinking for this. It's not an unpleasant color. It's just not what I was thinking for this. So that was a waste. I could go ahead and mix the muted blue with my transparent colors. I have a in the transparent set, there's a muted ochre. Oh, it helps if I don't put my notebook on top of what I'm looking for. But there's a transparent raw sienna in the transparent set, and maybe they'll give me a little bit of a brighter green option. And I'm not looking for like eye-searing, like phthalo green yellow shade. Even though, to be honest, that is kind of a color that I like. It has its place. I don't expect anybody to just love that color automatically. But yeah, so I think the muted turquoise and a touch of the transparent raw sienna might get me to a different place than I was going to with the trying to lighten up the muted green. And actually I'm doing a quick color check just to see what's in these. Okay, that should be fine. I just want to make sure I'm not mixing the same shade accidentally. Alright, so drop of the turquoise, 2 drops of the raw sienna for my test. It's because a lot of times yellows just are not so strong in tinting strength. So I want to make sure that I'm actually going to see it become a green. Oh, that is lovely. That needs more yellow though. Or maybe not. It looks so blue in the mixing cup, which I got random dust in there, but it's really interesting. It looks very blue here, but as soon as you pull it up to the side, it's obviously a green. It's a really interesting color too. I'm gonna put that over here with their little swatches. But the question is that the color I want? Grabbing the back of the sheet here. I think I'm going to thin that out, and I'm going to use that for these tentacles. Clean up the well next to it just in case there was dust there. I don't want to be adding dust to my work if I can avoid it. There's a neat color. I kind of like it. I did know I wanted to start doing color with something. I'm going to try to avoid full color because that is probably going to be more time intensive. Do I want these to be transparent? Do I want to fill them in with light? These are the things I'm currently wondering about. So my thought for this was to go ahead and have these coming out of this like black pit. These are, I don't know, kind of spectral entities, maybe full of light. I was tempted to do like octopus tentacles, but then I was thinking I should not add more detail. Maybe I will at a later point. At least as far as like right this moment, I don't want to. Trying to pull a little bit off of here. I have that color kind of pooling. It's going to make it a little bit darker because these are transparent colors. I think this may be one of my new favorite mixes. Okay, we're only 18 minutes in. Which kind of makes me hopeful that maybe, just maybe, I'll go ahead and start doing some pencil work for the next one. I kind of feel like this one's going to keep on going for a little bit longer, kind of like I did with the day 2 prompt. That I just wound up adding more and more ink, and I'm like, yes. I'm not toning to do shape, I'm just line work at the moment, even though I should probably think about it while that ink is still wet. It's such a lovely color too. I get distracted easily, don't I? It's like squirrel. Alright, is there anything on here? It's just the green that I didn't like. It's not a terrible green, that other one that I mixed up. I'm gonna hop back over here. So it like dried down to like not a bad mint, and it goes well with the paper. It's just, I don't know, I don't like it. I think I may go in with a bit of the muted gray. I'm torn. I think I want to go in with the muted green actually for... See, like I said, I'm torn between the muted gray and the muted green. Between the gray and the green for our witch here. I think the purple would be a really pretty tone for her. And I don't know what I'm doing. I'm grabbing my pencil, and what I'm actually meaning to do is to grab my my big brush and go ahead and get this mix cleaned out of the well, because I know I'm not using that minty green. I was curious to see what shade it got to, and it's... I don't need to say it again. It's not a bad color, it's just not the color I want. Like, don't be afraid of getting rid of something that's not working for you. It does look kind of pretty when it's really watered down, though. Oh well, it's not what I want. Hard to go on about that. Alright, I'm just blotting the rest of it since it's a big wet mess over here. Alright, that's out of the way. I have water everywhere from this brush. And yes, I am still having trouble seeing just anything in the graphite. This light just pings right off of it and it just washes it out, so I'm having a terrible time with detail from that. But yes, muted gray. It's over here. Just gonna grab that. I'm letting my brush be really wet so I can go ahead and just mix in a little bit of water there. I'm not trying to thin it down too much, but I basically just want to make sure that you actually see that it is a purplish tone in the line work. This way she'll have some nice contrast. And I'm gonna have to grab that battery pack. It's my camera's battery charger. It's just decently flat enough where it's a good angle for this, and I'm just using my hand to make sure that this doesn't go sliding off my desk. Alright. I feel like I could just go in and start doing the our very dark little pit, because I know I'm going to just pop in some black there. But I also want to leave myself some room. Okay, that tied up there. I drew on clothing and then I didn't adjust where her fins were with the clothing, so that's the hesitation there. That's a silly thing on my part. Go ahead and line a couple of these. And definitely not going to have all of my stuff anywhere near this detailed for all these prompts. Just doing this one on the side of her body, a bit darker. I really like these fins being translucent for this. So that gives a little bit of form. And then we don't see really what's going on back there. This one coming down here. It's the base of where the fins attach. And just occasionally grabbing a little bit more of the ink. This one would be significantly toned down because of the wrap that's coming off her waist. Now to start drawing in some of those details. So I added a conch shell. It's a spiny conch. It's called the Comb of Venus. And it's just fun and bizarre looking. I just have this acting as kind of like maybe a purse, or maybe it's a weapon. Maybe it's both. I thought she needed something interesting to be like a spell type component. And this is not exact. I was not trying to slavishly copy this thing. Just wanted to imply some just general shapes. We have the shell on the top. And just lightly shade that in. There's the shape of it that way, and then it gets this long, skinny point. And all kinds of spines coming off. And this is not one of those pieces where I'm going to outline every single one. I'm just going to draw straight lines. Go ahead and give you a general idea as far as its construction. Unfortunately, that's kind of obfuscating these coins that I put on the edge of her sash. I wasn't specifically thinking of like a belly dancer. I was thinking of, you're in the ocean and somebody has a sunken treasure and you see all these gold coins. What are you going to do? You're probably going to incorporate them into some of your jewelry. Things like that give you the appearance of wealth and status. I really like how pale this purple is too. Even though I have not given her the spots like I was thinking so far with the moray eel, the snowflake moray. I am going really light with the brush and letting those edges kind of do what they want, which is not always a good idea. But I also don't want to go so heavy-handed with my lines that there's no variation or life to them. So, subtle balance. I feel like this one has been a little bit off. And I'm going to redo this little line on the edge here. Go ahead and make that a deeper shadow. And I'm going to try to avoid actually doing toned washes for shadows, because I don't want every single piece that I do to wind up being toned washes. I was thinking more like some varied outlines to make this interesting as far as maybe like a coloring page. So trying to stick to that. And then I have some messy detail on her face, which I'm going to hold up the bottom just a little bit more. I'm getting to some of these details on the face. I found this really interesting fish online. It had really big jaws. I was thinking, let's use that as some type of headdress. Why not? I just have it kind of slipping away under the ear. And there's the top half. This is going to look different once I erase extra lines, which is another reason when I'm not doing shading. I want to make sure that I have room to remove a good bit of these lines. Some of these teeth are really more like just pins. So that's just being very gently hinted at. Hopefully that's getting picked up pretty well. Now I feel like all of the stuff that I already did with the other liner looks very, very strange. Alright, and taking just a moment for taking a drink of my beverage, taking a look at Twitch, seeing what's going on while we're in the middle of getting to the rest of the line work. It's like every time I say the word Twitch, we see the drop frame rate notification popping up, which you'd think I would just stop saying it, but it probably pops up anyway. It just happens to be when I'm looking at the screen that I notice it. That's fun. Alright, so I did give the brush a quick rinse, just to make sure it wasn't getting too dry. That is a problem if you're doing a lot of washes with acrylic ink and you're not paying attention to your brush. It'll start to dry on the brush and then you have your hair stuck together. And then it's a pain to go ahead and clean them. You can recover them though. So if you have brushes that are clogged up with acrylic, keep them. What you do is you go ahead and take a cup of water. It could even be like your regular water jar. Go ahead and fill it about halfway. If you're using a jar that's about, I don't know what size that would be. Maybe it's like a 24-ounce jar. I have it about half full. Do like probably 2 tablespoons of lemon juice in about that size. And go ahead and throw it in the microwave for like 30 seconds. And you just want to slowly do that until it's warm. It doesn't need to be like searing hot. You want to make sure that you are careful because glass does get hot when you microwave it. But yeah, so once that is a nice warm jar of lemon juice filled water, Go ahead and soak your brushes in that for like, oh, maybe 5 minutes. You really don't want to like have the ferrule down in there, but you do want your brushes to get a nice drink of that, and spend some time going ahead and working at the fibers every so often. Yeah, that'll go ahead and loosen up most of the stuff, and you'll be able to work it off. And then at that point, go ahead and take like a brush cleaner or preserver. I like the Masters. I have like the little mini set. That mini cake lasts so long. Well, I also tend to paint, you know, at this point I'm painting more often, but it's still not a very long time compared to a lot of full-time artists. But still, you know, those things last an incredibly long time, so you could just get the little gift set. And they'll last you a good long while. I actually need to go over, I think I have 2 flats. My flats are where I tend to get them caked up, because a lot of times with my rounds, my smaller rounds, I'm using those with acrylic ink, and I'm rinsing them as I go. You know, I really find doing brush line work is so nice. I'm hoping that all that subtle line that I have over here is getting picked up. And now I've done a little bit more shading, which I'm trying to not do. But when the hand is foreshortened this much and the fingertips are curling, I'm just kind of like, can you see it? Is there enough detail there? I'm trying to very gently make sure that all of that is implied and going to be easy to see once I remove any errant pencil that will still come up. That's one thing I definitely notice more when going over with the acrylic. Like any pencil that I've run over with these acrylic lines, that is staying put. So hopefully you guys are getting a good look at all of the lines. For me, on this piece, this hand was the worst. I kept redrawing it because it's like, nope, no, the thumb's too big. No, the rest of the hand's too big. And in general, your hand is about the size of your face. So you can go ahead and rest your palm on your chin, and your fingertips should be able to touch your eyebrows. So as far as scale, it gives you an idea as far as your drawing. It sounds like... Oh, there is another track. Just gonna say, it sounds like our playlist is over. But then it surprised me. I'm going to go really thin. This will probably be the only shading that I'm really going to do, but if I don't do some shading on that bottom lip, it just looks wrong. And besides, it was a decent time to go ahead and give the brush a quick rinse and pick up more. I am going ahead and blotting the brush along the edge of the paint palette. Just go ahead and tap out some of it because I want it loaded that I don't have to just dip into it every minute. I also want to make sure I don't just have a ridiculous blob possibly landing on my stuff, so kind of just temper that a bit. Oh wow, it's already 2:42. So if you're live, see that as usual, this is taking me ages. This line has gone all awry. That's alright. Alright, so that's coming up around the neck this way. This is a really thin strand of hair, so you would still see it over here. And then on top of all of this, I see this as like a big pearl. Now to do the rest of this fish head. It's funny how goals we set for ourselves do not always match the reality. Like with this. Just doing this with the thought of want to get faster working. I also want to enjoy the process, so I'm finding that while in a lot of this I'm not working as quickly as I'd like, I am really enjoying the process. And because that is a secondary goal of mine, I'm not pushing myself too much because here I am doing the detail work and it's enjoyable. I kind of want to keep on going with it. Yeah, now that I have this line work and it's not jiving with this line work, I'm kind of, The question to me next is, well then, what am I doing with the rest of this cave? Oh, I really need to give her a cheek. Okay, so I rinsed my brush, but I still have plenty of that ink here. Just want a very subtle line to indicate the side of her face. Once I erase those pencil lines, that would be problematic. I really like her. I just really dislike all of the line work that I rushed myself into doing yesterday. I feel like this is all kind of a detriment to the new concept that like really pushed its way forward on this for me. So I'm debating, do I maybe just try to glaze everything? Get my detail back that way? I don't like this shade of green enough to be like a kelp or a seaweed green. I think I need to mix an orange into it. Since I have that muted gray on my brush still, I'm going to go over this and see if maybe this improves it at all. Not specifically trying to just obliterate the lines that I had, but I want to see what happens if I go ahead and tone them slightly, if it helps them not be eyesores. I don't know if that's an improvement or not, or maybe I'll wind up doing over these with with the black line work and maybe tie everything back together this way. I don't know. You have to let me know what you think. I'm curious to see, did I make it worse? Did I make it better? And now I think the playlist is over.
Go to AirPlay.
It says something's playing, so maybe it's buffering. Oh, it starts out incredibly quiet. Okay, we're good. Yeah, I kind of feel like this is going to take me a lot longer to finish because I've again gone overboard with all my details.
Yay!
Oh. And little man wants to add his 2 cents. He napped briefly, but anytime my daughter's up here to game and starts talking, he's such a light sleeper. He's just back up like a jack in a box. Yeah, I don't hate this effect, but I also feel now like this is giving me so much more work to do compared to if I'd just done this with this line work yesterday. Like, why didn't I think of this yesterday? I feel like maybe we won't be getting into the prep work for the day 4 prompt, even though I do have an idea for it, and it is just sitting there in my head, and it's going to be definitely some ink washes. I kind of like that. I'm not gonna lie. I have so much other detail in here. I've barely scratched the surface. I think, what can I get done in like 10 minutes ish? So otherwise, you know. It's madness. Alright, do I want this turning into a full color thing? I do feel like bringing him, like, maybe a warm tone. I don't know. Because I have the diving helmet over here, I have a wood oar, I have the lobster trap. Boy. I feel like this isn't quite complete unless I go ahead and run ink over everything. And I'm getting sloppy with it.
Not really. Well, I look at it.
Like, this line was rushed, this thing is not a proper oval. So I'm kind of hoping that the sketchiness of adding this ink might help. I was not patient enough with my line work. Oh, I did the original pencil. And that really does translate over to the rest of this. And see, there's a difference between rushed and sloppy. Oh, no, I didn't say that correct. There's a difference between quick and sloppy. For me, rushed automatically implies like that it's going to be sloppy. I think I really need to spend some time and figure out exactly what I want this piece to be. So while I am definitely enjoying it, I also want it to make sense. Alright, so right now I'm doing a chain. You'll see me skipping spaces. That's because this is the side of the chain. Like, if it was an oval length like this, if you see it from this side, you're only going to see a line. And then after it's dry, I'll go ahead and do a second pass where I'll add the connecting bits for the links. And that is not a straight line. That's awful. Trying to get something done. Instead, I'm kind of messing up.
Somebody's coming. Welcome.
Coming back to apply shading. So the reason why the shadows are varying is because this is a light source. So this edge would be lighter. This edge would be lighter. This one would actually probably have a shadow from this one. So those have some shape now. I feel like I've gotten almost nothing done. I think I forgot to edge this out. I'm going to blot that because that went up a little dark. Now here's where I normally start talking about what our next prompt would be if I were done with this one. So Galaxy, Loch Ness Monster, and Winter is the day 4 prompt, which I already see it in my head. It's a really pretty image, but yeah, I'm just a little disappointed that I didn't get so far on this one. I don't know why I have a terrible concept of time. Just to be honest from that angle. I'm kind of in a debate with myself, like, do I keep going with this one to keep finishing up the details? Should this be like off camera at this point? I have lots of questions. And I don't have answers for a lot of them. I definitely wanted this to be like a big pit of black, though. So I'm going to start working on that. Hold on a second. Alright, so I'm probably going to just ride out with the mute, because small one is getting restless. And I'm just going to work on this little Black portal into nothing. Just thinking my setup looked a little dark, and it's like, oh yeah, that's because you have the work surface tilted away from the light. Silliness. I've gone ahead and removed my my clear cutting sheet. I found it gives a lot less glare. Like the cutting mat underneath gives a lot less glare. So I figured that's probably a good improvement for lighting. Yeah, so I am certainly not where I want to be with this. I like the details that I do have in the background. My shelf looks a lot better than it did. I'm not positive it's finalized. I feel better about it, but I don't feel like it's necessarily perfect. Perspective, man. I am not a perspective person. Maybe I'm going to grab my sepia inks. Maybe I'll do that for the line work that I want to go ahead and vary, like the wooden elements and the diving helmet instead of breaking into the other transparent set. That way I'm leaning this generally more towards like sepia. Oh no, that's not true. Okay, so actually instead I'm going to break out my transparent, I think it was the raw umber, yes. So I want to stick with a cool tone of brown. Everything in here is going to be cool tones. So here's an idea of like how much you can see the pigment settling in the bottom. This particular one is just quite a mix of pigments, it's a single pigment. Oh well. That's alright. It's being used for line work, it's not being used for mixing, so it'll be fine. I'm just... I don't know, I guess it's a weird headspace. I've been sick for the past 3 days. I've had some unique stomach issues. So like I feel like that's adding to a lot of my indecisiveness lately because I'm only halfway here rather than all the way in the work like I would like to be. Yeah, so I'm going to keep working at this, certainly off camera. I feel like the Sea Witch herself is a big element that I wanted to do on camera, but I also want to get on with the rest of the prompts and whatnot, so even if this winds up being just left right here, half finished, I'm not upset about that. I don't want to do that with a bunch of pieces, but I also don't want to not approach the other prompts and have an idea. Part of the challenge for me was not just attempting to work fast, but you know, to go ahead and work with the variety of prompts. So at this point, I feel like here I am working on day 3 prompt when it's day 6. I have 3 other prompts that I need to make up. And while I do have day 4s in my head very strongly, I need to get that committed to paper. So I suspect that I will keep on working at this. I will have the pencil sketch already done for the day 4 prompt, so when we go in, we're just hopping right to it. This is my theory, and that way we can go ahead and continue progressing. Let me know your thoughts. I'm curious to see what you think moving forward. I figure now that I'm looking at this, I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't do the back half of the length of this metal banding for the rest of the cage, so I'm going to want to put that in. And I think tone this whole area dark. I'm probably breaking out shaded washes anyway, because I'm indecisive like that sometimes. I've really liked seeing where this one's developing to, and I want to put in those tiny details for this, but I don't feel like continuing it during the challenge is specifically good at this point. I don't know, then I'm also adding more stuff to my list of like stuff to be done later. Yeah, I'm all over the place. But you know, the challenge has been fun. I've really liked what's been coming out of it so far. The day 1 prompt I do feel is a little bit... it feels phoned into me, but it exactly met the challenge. I was really trying to come up with like what to do with it for the last 20 minutes as far as adding some more detail. I'm definitely going to do some more line work on this. Anyways, I'm trailing off and rambling. You guys have other things to do today, I'm sure. I definitely want to see. Maybe what I'll do for the next couple prompts is maybe we'll do a sketchy day, just a hardcore sketchy day. So formulating thoughts while I'm trying to talk to you guys is a little kind of weird. The reason why I want to do this one, sorry, let me grab an ink bottle to go ahead and hold this paper up at least enough to be here. So I'll go ahead and sketch this one out. This one I will absolutely ink on camera because this has such a crisp idea in my head. I want you guys to see the contrast where this one's really going to be pushing like negative space, and I'm going to be breaking out masking fluid and see how masking fluid takes on this paper. I will probably try to start the masking fluid before the stream, just that way we're not waiting for the full dry time for it. I'll have areas already masked and then mask some of it with you, just that way you can watch the application of it, have an idea of how that works, and we would be able to just dive in without too long of a wait. This one is definitely an idea of laying down ink washes and having that variegation, kind of like I did with the day 2 prompt. Probably won't look as developed as the day 2 prompt, and I'll go ahead and make up my mind as far as color. It's going to be very towards monochromatic. I just have to decide what color other than black, because I'm doing Nessie herself as a silhouette, just plain black for her. But or maybe the gray. Maybe I'll just do the whole thing with the muted gray because it's a really pretty color. Maybe just pop in black if I feel I need a little bit more contrast. It depends on if the mask tone gets dark enough for me, which this is not the darkest color that I've worked with. If this was just the PV23 that's in here, which is dioxazine violet or carbazole violet, depending on which brand you're with. Yeah, if it was just that purple by itself, it would be so much darker. But the addition of the blue and the yellow pigments in here does give this a lighter value than if you go full strength, which makes it more a gray. Albeit a very violet toned gray, it's a gorgeous color. But yeah, I think we'll do muted gray and black with this. Maybe I'll bring in some white. I've been hesitant to do that with the tone paper, just trying to avoid doing too much. But we'll see what happens with laying down the gray if I feel it needs that extra pop of brightening up some areas. So we'll see. But yeah, this one will continue. I'll probably just do progress updates and we'll see where this gets to. I really feel like I need to move forward with the prompts, and I want to do that in a way that feels logical. So definitely looking forward to seeing where this goes. It is a fun process, and hopefully you'll join me tomorrow for our day 4 prompts of Galaxy Loch Ness Monster in Winter, and hopefully I have some updates just to show you on this piece. So thanks again for joining me, and as always, keep drawing.